Hello and welcome to your yoga practice. This is Christine from Badlands Yoga, and I'll be your guide. This recording will take you through the psoas release exercises. Remember to go gently. Sometimes strong emotions are released when the psoas begins to unwind. This is the practice. There'll be a template of it along with your audio or video recording. Try to do this with your instructor first in a small group setting, and then take it home where it may be easier for you to let go to the extent that's possible with these exercises. Now, the psoas is a muscle that can be implicated in low back pain and in many trauma holding patterns. So releasing it and working with it during times of stress can be very helpful. The procedure is going to put intelligent forces, stressing joints from the floor up to the low back and even a little above the diaphragm, as well as exhausting muscles such as the calves, the hamstrings, and the quadriceps. The peak is a seated chair pose against a wall for about 5 minutes. This is the most intense, and during this time you'll be cultivating a form of automatic movement that I'll be referring to as just a quivering in the muscle. And this takes many forms. So if your muscle is moving at all when you're in this otherwise static position, then you're feeling it. This is one of those times where if you're feeling it, you're doing it. We'll then do a 2-minute wall hang and then come down and do a combination bridge and cobbler's pose that will then allow the automatic movements to generate outward from the center along the spine, outwards, down and into the hip joints, into the quadriceps and the other thigh muscles, and perhaps even up and under the rib cage into the diaphragm. So with that explanation, we're going to begin with this series. You can find more about this series in Dr. Berceli's books, where he calls it the trauma release exercises. Dr. Berceli is the originator of these and has a wealth of information about his work in war zones and other traumatic places, as well as with everyday people looking to enjoy more stress-free lives. We're going to begin by stepping the feet wide, at least wider than your yoga mat. Toes are turned out or maybe forward, and we're just going to bend at the knees. The arms can hang in a relaxed manner. We're going to take about 5 breaths here. Try to feel the body finding its center. For these exercises, we're not engaging your ujjayi or doing any particular kind of breath, except we are mindfully breathing. You'll want to begin in a hydrated state, so drink a large glass of water before you begin, and have another glass on standby for when you're done. Now, we're simply going to roll onto the outsides of both feet, and then we're going to roll onto the outside of the first side. So roll on to the left side of both feet. That'll be the outside of the left foot and the inside of the right foot. And we're going to be here for 15 breaths. Allow your arms to be supported on your hips or maybe dangle by your sides. Now, on your next exhale, roll on the inside of the left foot and the right side of the right foot, or the outside of the right foot. Next exhale, roll onto the outside of the left foot, the inside of the right foot, and we're going to roll back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, rolling from the inside to the outside of each foot. And one last time. Now, stop on the outside of the left foot, the inside of the right foot, and we're going to take another 15 breaths. See if you can feel the lines of stretching from the ankles through the inner and outer legs, all the way up into the hips, and maybe even into the torso. With your next breath, roll on the inside of the left and the outside of the right feet. Good. Come back to center. And the next set is calf raises. I'm going to talk you through two different types of calf raises. You'll determine which is best for you. We're going to start with the least strenuous. And for this one, your arms are going to hang by your side. Now, you're going to step forward with the active leg. So we're going to make that the right foot to begin with, and the left foot comes behind. This is mainly to take it out of the equation. So you're focused on your right foot and leg, but you have the left leg to stabilize you. Now you're ready to raise and lower 15 times, anywhere between 10 and 15 times, until you begin to feel fatigue in that right calf. Move with the breath. And when you're done, you're going to shake that leg out, just shaking the foot. Now, the more advanced version or the more strenuous version. If you feel like you need this in order to tire the calf muscle, or perhaps as you've used this more and more often, you can do that same version standing on the left foot with the right foot behind, or if you would prefer, you can lift the right foot completely off the ground, place the hands on the hips, and then raise and lower 10 to 15 times. Stop whenever you need to. Now, if you have done the more strenuous version on the left leg, press pause and go back and do that on the right leg. When you're done, shake the leg out. We're going to move up and into the thigh muscles, and we're going to do the less strenuous version again, and we'll do that on the left leg this time, and then we'll do the more strenuous version on the right. If you decide to do the more strenuous version, then I'm going to ask you, after we do that right leg, press pause, go back and take care of the left leg, and you'll know going forward that that's your variation. So the next joint and set of muscles is the knee and the thigh. So step the left foot forward. That's going to be our weight-bearing leg. And in this more accessible version, the right toes stay on the ground behind you. That's to help you balance. And then you're simply going to bend the knee and bend it as far as you can without that heel coming off the ground, and raise. 10 to 15 times. So the weight is over that left leg, and that's the one that we're working with. The right leg may bend a little bit depending upon how far you come down. When you've done that, your number of repetitions, shake that left leg out. Now, the more arduous version has you bending the non-weight-bearing leg with the heel up and bending over. Now, only do this if you feel really confident about your balance, or maybe you have a wall next to you. So I'm going to start by bending over the right leg. Fingertips go onto the ground, and then I'm going to kick the left heel up toward my hip, and then commence to bend and straighten the right leg. Moving with the breath, bending until my heel is about to come off the ground and stopping there. You can do a slighter range of motion if you're beginning this. And then come up, transfer the weight onto the left leg, and shake your right leg out. Now, we're up to the hip girdle, and we're going to do this with some forward folds. So take a nice wide stance, at least as wide as the mat, perhaps wider. Hands on the hips, exhale, lift the low belly. Next, exhale, hinge the hips forward. Now, if your hands don't reach the floor from here, then you're going to want some sort of support, a yoga block, phone books, a box, anything that comes up to where your hands are, or rest your hands on the floor. Now, we're going to be here for 3 breaths. And then walk over to the right leg. Walk your hands over to the right leg. Let the upper body release and relax down. Walk the hands over to the left leg. Allow the upper body to release down. Walk the hands to center, and then walk the hands back behind the line between your feet. Allow the head to reach toward the ground. Walk the hands back forward. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, lift the belly and hinge up to standing. Now, the next series are wide-legged back bends. So leave your feet in the wide stance that you created for your wide-legged forward fold. Bring your fists, light bulb fists, to the low back. Press the hips forward and begin by lifting the heart. So your upper body is in a camel-like position here. Now, you're going to arch back and over the back of your left leg. So a twisted camel upper body position here. Exhale, come up to center, and then come over the back of the right leg. Back to center. And exhale, up to standing. Walk the feet together. And now we're up to the wall sit. So you do want to have your back against a wall. And I'll be doing this for 5 minutes. I'll talk off and on, but primarily you're going to have quiet. And you're going to want to begin with the knees in front of the hips, feet under the knees, and see if you can come to a place where your thighs are parallel to the ground. You probably don't want to have an area rug under your feet. Now, you're going to remain here. Looking for signs of quivering. Again, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. This can be intense. Know that the intense sensations are going to change over the course of the 5 minutes. You've already done more than one. And if you begin to feel that quivering or shaking, whatever form it takes, let it go. Don't try to contain it. It can result in some up and down movement on the wall. If at any time this becomes too strenuous, because this is a lot of work for the upper legs, then you're going to press into the wall and lift 2 inches up, and then try being here. Work with the intensity by adjusting upwards and even downwards. If you've adjusted up once, you may adjust down the next time and find a different quality to the sensation. Coming up on 2.5 minutes. Let any automatic movements that start to just roll on. You don't want to exaggerate them, but you also don't want to downplay or try to contain them. The sounds you're hearing are me going up and down the wall and a little bit of the shaking. More than halfway done. Remember, it's all temporary. Notice the variations in the sensation to help deal with the intensity and focus on complete and deep exhalations. Notice how the sensations change in location, in quality, and even intensity over time. Okay, now you're going to walk your back up the wall, walk your feet a little bit back, and then with the knees bent, bring the belly on the thighs, allow the head to hang. Your sitting bones are pressed back against the wall. We're going to be here for 2 minutes. Allow any shaking sensations or quivering sensations and movements to continue in the legs. This is usually a matter of not tamping down movements and sensations that are just beneath awareness. Relaxing into them. Almost done with this phase. Allow the movements to change over the course of the time. They may become larger or smaller, and they may have hills and valleys. Okay, now you can, if you're near your mat, you can simply walk your hands forward and come down to a reclining position. If you need to, take care in coming up, bend the knees a lot, lift the low belly, and then hinge the hips under the shoulders. The final portion of this is completed laying on the back. You're going to bring the feet together, knees out. So you're in this basic butterfly position. And then for 1 minute, you're going to press into the feet and lift the hips. Again, allowing any automatic movements that come to simply unwind. And these can be wavy, circular, or they can be shaky and quivery. Whatever happens, simply allow it. 1 minute holding up. And then after that minute, you're going to simply rest the hips back onto the ground for 2 minutes. Again, allow whatever happens to simply have its own day. Whatever sensations, whatever motions arise, simply bring them into awareness with a curious and non-clinging, non-judgmental mind. Allow the shaking to subside, and it may come back. Stop whenever you'd like or need to. We do have a few more minutes of activity. Especially though, if this is your first time, take it gently. If you're in the middle of any shaking or unwinding, allow that to find a natural ebb. And when it does, bring your knees 2 inches closer together. So you're just going to lift them up and hold them in this slightly higher position, and then notice what kind of automatic movements take over from there. It shouldn't feel like you're doing anything. If anything, it will feel like an unwinding. It's been about another 2 minutes. So we're going to bring the knees still 2 inches closer together. The outsides of the feet are still on the ground and the feet are still touching like praying hands. So then we'll be in this position for the final 2 minutes. Notice if your low back feels any more at ease, if your belly feels at all more hollowed out, if your pelvis seems to fall more easily to the ground. And then place the feet on the floor with the knees up. If there's any quivering, unwinding, shaking, or other automatic movements occurring, let those finish up here. Stay here as long as you need to. And then conclude your session with the legs extended and the heels on the ground, the toes falling out. If more automatic movements occur, simply remain with them until they've subsided. Sometimes the automatic movements will even move through the upper body, rib cage, and arms. If they do that, just allow them. And when you come to a final resting pose, when the movements seem to have worked their way through, remain for at least 5 minutes. When you get up, remember to move slowly. Proceed gently. Drink plenty of water. And be aware of how your body feels throughout the day. Spend the next few minutes simply being. Notice any pleasant sensations, any relaxed sensations, any senses of ease or joy or relief. Allow those sensations to be deeply felt, to sink in and affect your entire body-mind. for the conclusion of Shavasana. I'll read to you a piece of poetry from Dogen. The entire body is illumination. The entire body is illumination. The entire body is the entire mind. When the entire body is the entire body, there is no hindrance. The phrase, learning the way through the body, means that we learn the way by means of the body, that we learn the way by means of our living flesh. Stay as long as you would like. Rise slowly when you do. Namaste.